Good morning. Welcome to Community Unitarian Universalist Church here in Plano, Texas. I welcome you here in person, or if you're joining us online, so glad that you are here with us today. My name is Reverend Dr. Aija Duelm. I am the minister of this congregation. My pronouns are she and her and hers. This congregation, this Unitarian Universalist congregation, is a place where we come to learn more about what it means to be human. We're not here because we have figured out life's questions or because we think we've got them all right. We come here to learn more about being in the relationship with one another, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, how to create trust and compassion in one another, how to grow and learn with one another. Last summer, we experienced some horrible events in our community. We were attacked by people who did not wish us well, and these attacks left scars in our memory. We made it through, holding one another, working to repair the damage to our building. We're still healing. And today, I want to talk about the resilience that lives here among us. Resilience that helped us to get through and find ways to move forward, to grow and expand our understanding. When we released the statement last year to the press, we said, we are still here. And today, we say again, we are still here. And we are determined to continue our mission and our work. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here to be a part of our journey together. This last week, I believe it was Monday, Houston had experienced a hurricane the storm that was coming as a leftover from the hurricane, and damaged enough to where even today there are close to 1 million of people without power in the heat, Houston heat. On Thursday this week, my hometown had a storm that has never been before in Latvia at all. It was tornado kind of storm. It was wind gusts about 31 meters per second. And it created significant damage. The trees were, some of the forests were completely wiped out. Some roofs of the houses were lifted. The roof of the stadium was lifted and it landed in the residential property on somebody's house. Luckily, my family who lives there lost a few trees, but not anything else. So it's quite an unusual thing that is happening often, and it's become a common experience almost around us. And I saw this article by Laura Geggel about the palms that are able to withstand hurricanes better than us, better than buildings, better than trees and anything else. And I don't know if any of you know, how do they do that? Anybody?
They sway with the wind.
They do sway, right. And why is it that they don't break when they sway like this? I couldn't hear. They are flexible. They're bending, right? And it's because palms are not trees. Palms are grass, right? Made from grass. They're made from spongy, string-like tissue that makes them so flexible that they can move and bend, and then they will come back when the wind's over. There are 188 genera of palms with 2,585 species. Apparently, that's what Judy Johnston, professor of plant sciences at the University of California, says. But not all palms are alike. And if the palm is planted somewhere where it's not its native land, it will not survive as well when the hurricane comes. Sometimes when the ground is softened too much with water, the palm can be uprooted with all its roots up. It will not break, but it will come out with all its roots. These palms have been around for about 100 million years. And so, some of the Nonavian dinosaurs were still around when palms were here. So when we think about these palms and the storms, what helps us to withstand life's storms? Not just hurricanes, but tragedies, traumas, different kinds of events that are upsetting our lives and shaking us up. What is it that helps us do that? What helps you?
Our community.
Community. People around you. Yes. What else? Reaching out, not staying on your own when things happen, bad things happen, right? Anything else? Being flexible. Being able to adjust in the moment. Yes. There was more. Change. Being willing to change.
Certainty I haven't been broken by prior storms.
The certainty that hasn't been broken by prior storms. So these are convictions, right? And if I'm speaking as a religious professional, can I say the faith that is part of those convictions? Something that grounds you, the values or the beliefs that we hold that are able to ground us and say that this life's storm has not changed all of it, of who I am. But there's some things that I still believe. I still might believe in good around there, maybe, or kindness around there, or hope that still might live somewhere out there. It is so good to see you here today. I've been on vacation and I had some good rest. I was able to visit my family. They live in Latvia in Europe. And I worked in their garden a lot. And it was so nice to be outside in the temperatures that were in the 70s, not like here, and everything green around me. My days were filled with picking buckets of strawberries, raspberries, cherries. Well, that is until the birds got to the cherries and ate all of them. I did visit my family and friends, whom I hadn't seen for a year, and some even more than that. And it was great to be in that part of the world. And all that time, it feels like I was somewhere else. I was in a place where my brain was resting, and my vision of the world was focused on just what was in front of me. But the reality is that the world did not stop. The Texas heat kept blazing and burning all the grass to its usual brown summer color. And the news keep telling us about more and more events that are taking place. And some of these news are horrifying and heavy. For Ukraine, today is the 870th day of war. With Kiev's Children's Hospital destroyed, more people killed and injured and displaced. For Gaza, it has been 281st day of war. And that has led to a deep humanitarian crisis. The violence continues in many parts of the world. In Sudan, Haiti, in Syria. And as of May of this year, there were 120 armed conflicts worldwide that involved more than 60 states and 120 non-state armed groups. Here in the US, we have our own events that are filled with violence. Tanya Mitchell, a 43-year-old black man, died on June 30th after being pinned down on his stomach by security guards outside the hotel. He died the same way as George Floyd did a few years ago. We keep seeing the continuous increase of violence against blacks despite all of our efforts to make a change. We're not there yet. Just yesterday, we had another attack at one of our presidential candidates, upsetting our democracy even further. And the violence continues also against LGBTQ communities and their allies. On the 4th of July, a man entered Kingston Unitarian Universalist Church in Massachusetts, vandalized the building, and while burning the Pride and Black Lives Matter flags, the flames reached the building and created damage. These initial damage estimates are in tens of thousands, police says. We too experienced a similar attack last year. And we know that it hurts. It hurts to see your place of worship, your faith home, vandalized and damaged. Last summer, someone threw an incendiary device at our front door, and the fire damaged the door and our front porch. We replaced the door. We repainted the porch. But the attack did more than just damage the building. It touched our soul, created heartache, worry, and hurt that has left scars in our memory, and that is still not healed all the way through. We still grieve and hold this event in our hearts with heaviness and sadness. Mary Oliver starts her poem with words, "That time when I thought I could not go any closer to grief without dying, I went closer. And yet, somehow the grief did not end everything. From time to time, laughter was heard again, and an admiration lingered for all that is kind in this world, for roses, sea geese, and love. Life has its way of bringing heartache, grief, and stress into our lives. Many of us have experienced trauma and adversity from a young age. You and I have struggled through tragedies, traumas, and heartaches. And somehow we have been able to find ways to keep going forward. maybe crawling for a while, but still moving forward. Just like palms that are able to withstand hurricanes, we have the ability to find a way forward one day at a time. And this ability is what scientists call resilience. There's one group of psychologists who study resilience who define this in this way. Resilience is the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. It means bouncing back from difficult experiences. A former Navy SEAL, humanitarian, and author, Eric Greitens, which I wouldn't otherwise name in our midst, but he has written some words about resilience that I think are very to the point. This is what he says: we do not bounce back to exactly who we were before. We cannot bounce back because we cannot go back in time to the people we used to be. The parent who loses a child is forever changed. The 19-year-old who goes to war and comes back a different person than when they left. You know that there is no bouncing back. There is only moving through. What happens to us becomes a part of us. Resilient people do not bounce back from hard experiences. They find healthy ways to integrate them into their lives. Unquote. So this is what Greitens says. Rather than bouncing back to who we were before, we move through the challenges. And what happens to us becomes a part of us. We integrate those experiences into our lives. And to do that, we most often need relationships, support of others. The American Psychological Association says, many studies show that the primary factor in resilience is having caring and supportive relationships, both within and outside of the family. Relationships that create love and trust, provide role models, and offer encouragement and reassurance, help bolster a person's resilience. So having the relationships that some of you mentioned here during the Story for All Ages as well, that's vital for our ability to weather life's incredible storms. It is like that spongy tissue that is part of the palms that helps us to be malleable and able to flex and withstand the storm. And then there is one more thing that is needed for resilience. And it's the ability to have a sense of purpose that involves some altruism and ability to work for the good of others. Research shows that when we get involved in contributing to our communities, working for social justice, trying to create a better world, we also benefit ourselves. Because in doing so, we are exposed to different perspectives and life experiences, and we find a sense of purpose. Having that purpose then helps us build our own personal resilience. And that purpose roots us and holds us strong. And without it, just like palms can be uprooted, we too can lose our grounding. So last summer, after the attacks, when we got together We held one another in support. We grieved together. We worked to repair the damage. We put some security measures in place. And we held out our resolve to continue to meet, continue our mission and work that this community has been committed to for years. It's going to be 50 in next year. We said, we are still here. And we are. We continue to build our programs, to love, to grow in our values, to learn, to share our generosity, and open our doors to all who came through them. We are still surrounded by each other today, marking this common experience that we faced and celebrating our resilience. And when we continue to join together with one another in solidarity for our values, for this church, this community, we continue to put love at the center, to keep guiding us through the challenges, through all the life's storms, because we are still here. Last summer, as we were dealing with the aftermath of the attack, we held a worship service. And if you were here, you may remember we had paper on that wall, all through the wall. And I invited you to go up there and write or draw what you love about this church. You may recall some of these things. I'll just mention a few things that you wrote. This church is my spiritual home, family, and sanctuary, where I feel safe to share my soul and heart. Family of wonderful, hard-working people, building a church where love is the spirit and service is its law, in an environment of freedom of religion. Like-minded people, family atmosphere, spirituality, and helping me grow in that area. Came because of acceptance and welcoming of all people and stayed for the same reason. Meal train after surgery, Women's Alliance, social events, great worship, the music, choir, folk singers, jam. This is a house of love, a universal love that won't extinguish. Our artist looked at these writings and drawings, and they decided to create an artwork from them. They made a tree representing all that we love about this community and what it holds for each one of us. And today, we will be able to see this artwork. Would you come in? So the artist that worked on it one is mine, and that's why she's trying to be tall today. Chris Spencer and Jen Mason are the other two artists that worked on this artwork. And feel free afterwards to come and look at it. So you already saw one of the artworks around February, I believe. It was a heart, and they made it from the cards that we received from all over the world to express support for us. And there will be one more artwork. I'm not going to tell much in advance, but there's one more coming, and when all three are finished, we will place them on that wall, and we will have a service with unveiling the artwork. But feel free to come and look at this after the service. Maybe you'll remember words that you may have written last year. It represents our community, things that mean a lot to us in this place. because we're still here and this place means a lot to us. So I want to finish with words that Jane Hirschfeld wrote. More and more I come to admire resilience. Not the simple resistance of a pillow whose foam returns over and over to the same shape, but the sinuous tenacity of a tree. Finding the light newly blocked on one side, it turns in another. A blind intelligence, true, but out of such persistence arose turtles, rivers, mitochondria, figs, in all this resinous, unretractable earth. May it be so with us too. Amen.